You so much, Geraldine, for your words and for getting us started in a good way. Thank you. We would now like to welcome Mandy Pyle and Jeanette Romaine, who are our presenters for today. And I will just turn it over to you guys.
Hello, my name is Amanda Pyle. I'm with the Kwakiutl First Nation. I have done a lovely presentation, but I'm actually going to turn it over to our elder, Sherry, who has been with the garden project since the beginning. So we thought it would be lovely if she could come in and share how we got started many, many years ago. So I'm going to share my little bit of a slide. Sherry, you want to just say something so we can see if we can hear you or if we need to closer?
Oh, ilakas'la, the project community garden started over 24 years ago, and there were all women involved in the application of Aboriginal health funding available from Victoria office, to which we received a grant that was divvied over 3 years. So also in that construction of the fencing and the greenhouse, there was also to be in the third year a chicken coop. But given our area of critters and that, we have the chief at the time was Marion Wright, and she had chickens. And we watched her chickens slowly be taken away and eaten by a number of critters, including cougar. So, she started off with 12 chickens, and within a few weeks, all the chickens were gone. But given the times that we are, I feel we still need to get a chicken coop and make it as safe as could be for the eggs from it. And so the community garden was also aimed at getting community members learning about gardening, learning about composting, workshops and that were held, how to look at the soil and that. There was workshops on that over the years. So, which is still important, but I know the garden has changed now where people weren't, is how to keep them on board through the harvesting and fixing the dirt soil for winter time. So that is still important to teach community members, because there are people that are saying, oh, I want a box to garden. So I think we still have to fill that void for helping people as well, and to continue on with workshops on how to garden and that. And yeah, so the project's grown since then to many gardens. From the funding that I accessed afterwards was the Heart and Stroke. So that's how the Wagala School Garden came about, with funding sources for that. And I know I don't have a lot of time, so I'll just let Amanda talk. But that was the start of our gardening, community garden.
Thank you, Sherry. So the first two slides were the beginning pictures and then some of our growth. This is a collage of different things throughout the years. One is, do you know when that picture of Josie would have been taken?
Sure. ilakas'la, my name's Caitlin Hartnett. I'm the Kwakiutl Health Director. Before I was the director, I did quite a bit of volunteering under Sherry's wing in the garden. We had an Awit-Nicola program. Awit-Nicola in Kwakiutl means one with the land, sea, and sky and supernatural realms. So you can see that picture of the young mom with her baby Caius. That's Josie Child and Caius Warner. And they were baking some bread for, we would do elders lunches where we would take food from the gardens and create at least a portion the elders lunch, which was weekly. So I think that was probably 10 years ago. I think maybe it's important to say too, like Sherry's been
The
working on this
healthy
for 20
families
years.
and they benefited. And then we started having the pit cook too.
Mhm.
comprise.
Yeah, and so the
Yep.
garden itself has been around for what, 20 years?
Yeah.
At
over
least,
that.
or over
Yeah.
20 years, and it was started by, yeah, the group of women about, maybe it's 25 or 30
Yeah.
years ago now. Mhm.
So we have Josie and her wee one about 10 years ago, and then we have Jamie and her wee one about 2 or 3 years ago now, digging an actual pit for the pit cook, which I think is an amazing show of the generational strengths within our food system and our amazing women who are constantly on the go with their children. This also shows some of our elders during our elders lunch when we put out our produce from our gardens, taking some of the produce that they like, and then a picture of our pit cook meal probably 2 or 3 years ago, and the construction of our latest greenhouse. And for the past 10 years, the Kwakiutl community has been hosting the pit cook. 3 days of preparing and culture and teachings around the pit cook and the history. We do this on the beach every September, October, and we are very grateful. Mutlan. There's been a couple of years where we've actually replaced our Thanksgiving dinner with our traditional pit cook dinners to express that we are grateful. And this is just last year's rundown of what those days had looked like for us, as well as a picture of our elders. We moved last year our pit cook from the beach up to a more centralized area, and we had so many people stop in and sit and visit, and it was so amazing to see the different connections when we hosted it at a location that was more central to community. This is where we're at right now with where we are pulling our food from for community with our fisheries department, bringing things in from the ocean. Quite often we are out on the land at Kwakiutl, and as well as some of our garden produce. I don't know where I'm at for time right now, but I promise I'm almost done. And our winter greens. So in our 3 greenhouses that we have been able to expand our growing to year-round greens. We get an early start on our beans, peas, and some of our flowers actually this year bloomed all year. It was a little bit crazy to see the calendula and nasturtiums in December. And then this last page is many of our, I'm going to not say that right, Gingananum? Many of our Gingananum who were coming to the gardens with their families as young children are looking for jobs and summer work. And we just last year, or the year before, this will be our 3rd year running it, a summer job opportunity for those children to work hands-on in the garden with us. And this is the young Rosie with her radish harvest, her first ever radish harvest. And the second photo is 2 years ago, before she became our very first garden intern. She had pulled her first carrot out and allowed us to get a photo of her. And that's all for us today. Okay, ilakas'la, thank you for listening in.
Can I just add
Oh,
one thing?
Yes.
I'll just add one thing. I think some people might want to know, like funding wise, how do we run things? We did expand the number of people on our Food Connections team. So we've had 2 to 3 and sometimes 4 with a summer student, and that's through primarily grant funding that Manda's secured most recently in the last few years from Vancouver Foundation. And we're also doing work with our Hunt-Pyle Niece Auntie's Kitchen team, which is a harm reduction initiative that serves the Kwakiutl community and the other nearby First Nations communities. So Manda works to do foraging expeditions with community members, and we even are able to offer honorarium to community members that come foraging, whether it's clams or garden or berries, and then for garden days too. So just a little tidbit there around funding and how we encourage community to join us as well. Ilakas'la.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. We're gonna move on to Janet's presentation, and then we will have some time for questions and answers for all presenters afterwards. So thank you again for sharing to all three of you, and I'm turning it over to Janet now.
Thanks, Amanda, and thanks, Sonia. Our garden started 15 years ago, and it was the vision of our health manager at the time. Her name is Cynthia Munger, and I'm just going to turn it over to her for a moment so that she can tell you her vision of the garden and where she would like to see it be.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for allowing to speak within your traditional territories. Actually, I was a CHR. I wasn't a manager. I'm a manager now. My vision was the elders had come to us at a community meeting, and they said they want their own garden. And they asked and asked and asked. And then I became CHR, and that's how I started that garden. My vision was to feed our people within our own food and our own traditional territory. Our garden has grown and really big. We do a meal program now for our elders. We do a lot of catering out now. A lot of the stuff is from our land. We're doing char fishing right now and lingcod, and our elders are getting fed completely from the community of Stellat'en. I have been half smoking all the stuff for them. So they're gonna have a really good feast here. Some of it will be canned and it will be given to them as gifts at Christmas time. So my vision was to feed my people right from here, and it's happening. Still got a lot of work to do, but it will get there. And I'm really grateful for Janet. Janet is part of our family in Stellat'en. She's been with us from day one. I remember asking her, and I had very little funds. And I said, can you help me in this garden? And I only had 10 grand. That's it. Nothing more. And if it wasn't for people paying for her wages, it would have never happened, because I couldn't run a garden on 10 grand and try to pay somebody's wages. It's just so impossible. But as we got older, we started doing grant writing. We started thinking, okay, let's try for this. Yeah, we're not successful and all, but the majority of it we are, and we're really proud of that. This year, we're really hoping to open up an Indigenous market here in Stellat'en. We have a beautiful pavilion. I want most nations from everywhere to put their tables out, display what they're selling, what they make. I think it will be a really nice success, and I'm really hoping to start it this summer. And it'll be maybe twice a week on Saturdays.
Twice a month.
Twice a month on Saturdays, sorry. Yeah. But everybody would be welcome. The most you'll pay for your table is $10, and that goes back to our program. But anyways, that's me. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Cynthia. That was like, I am NATO. I am advocate for and ally to, and I work for Stellat'en First Nation. I'm proud to be the gardener, and now I'm the food sovereignty manager. But when Cynthia approached me 15 years ago and said I was running a community supported agriculture program, and I had big gardens at home, and she was like, I know you can do this. I know you can do this. So I said, oh, okay, I'll do this. And I'm still here. The garden at the beginning was just a big blank open field. It was hard to decide how to set it up. Should we set it up so community members had individual plots? Should we set it up like a big community garden? How should we do it? So Cynthia and I decided we would just set it up like the same as I had at home, just a giant garden. And we started with just the staff in the health center planting and tending to it. And then gradually, bit by bit, volunteers from the community came in. Some the same as Amanda's presentation, some with babies in their backpacks. It was wonderful to see that. And we had just the garden when we started. Now we have 2 greenhouses, one 40 by 18 and a brand new one that we haven't even got planting in yet, 40 by 100. And we're so excited to get that one going. The food security journey here, like Cynthia said, it was like so dependent on funding, and we have so many people to thank for that. We had the food system program always donating some. We had First Nations Health Authority. We had the Victoria Food Foundation. We had so many supporters on our journey, and we are very grateful to them. We have a root cellar. Well, we'll go through the slides. Can we move that on, Morgan? Yeah. There's Cynthia with her giant pepper. We saved these pepper seeds.
Sonia, what are you laughing at? I could see your face and Morgan too. Look at you girls' faces.
So we saved these seeds we went and bought peppers from the store, and they were such beautiful long red peppers. We saved the seeds, and they grew these. They must not be hybrid because they just grow true every year. The second slide is us showing we had got a moose that year, so we were canning stew in a jar, and that's raw meat, potatoes, carrots, onions, and turnips, and a little bit of spices in there. We cooked them then we pressure can them for 90 minutes, and they're served to the elders and to the community. So we are pretty happy about that. Oh, this was the root cellar. Thank you, SPARC, for the root cellar. And some other people too, like Victoria Food Foundation and First Nations Health Authority. So this root cellar is completely cement. As you can see, even the roof is cement. There's no heat at all inside of it, just those 2 vents on the roof. And there's a double door going in. You can't really see that. It's 8 feet wide and 24 foot long. And as you can see in the biggest picture, it's buried in the ground. And even in 40 below with no heat, that root cellar keeps things just absolutely perfect. We're so happy with it. We were real nervous the very first year when it got really cold. We left the door shut, and then when we crept in later, feeling all the potatoes and everything was fine, we were mighty happy.
And this root cellar is still feeding us today. This is what we're serving today. We have a workshop going on here. Everything's served from here. We had a band meeting and we served to the elders daily a supper.
This is the small greenhouse. We say small because now we have a bigger greenhouse, but it's not really small. It's 18 by 40. And as you can see in the first slide, we put a heater in it last year because just to get things started, it actually gave us 6 full weeks in the spring and 6 full weeks in the fall time of extra growing. There's a, oh, we can't quite see it. We put a hydrant in there so we can have water in there in the winter time too. And the second picture, those are our tomato starts. We start all of our tomatoes from seed. We've just got them under lights in the back room right now. And the front is these bricks right there. Oh, I guess you can't see my pointer. But the little red bricks on the top on the side, those were from Lejac Residential Indian School. And now they're serving as a reminder of the bad times, but mingled in with the good times.
Those bricks are over 60 years old, and they were made by the children that live there. So we wanted them to have a beautiful walkway where they can be free.
This is what the garden looks like just about every spring. The first picture is from probably 5 or 6 years ago, looking at how big the trees are. And the bottom right picture is from last year. And as you can see, we've been adding compost to the garden every year. It's completely organic. We don't ever fertilize with anything except compost. And you can see the change in the color of the soil, that how black and rich it is now. And you can see in this top right photo, how many people are out helping us on planting day. And this is just a small crowd. Last year, we had the children come from the school, and they were amazing. They put the pea fences up the same day. About 2/3 of the garden was planted in one day, including the potato patch, which is always a big part of it. Anything to
One
add?
of the things we would also like to share, we let the kids come from both elementary and the high school. So whatever they pick, they could take home. It really made us proud this year because a lot of our kids are starving, not just our First Nations children. It was so happy that they could pack their backpacks and bags and take food home to their family. It broke our hearts, but yet we were happy. We told them, take what you want, and they were so happy. So they must have had food for a few days. So that's one of the things of this joy of doing this, is helping all those kids too and families.
And we did wonder what their parents thought when they brought back bagfuls of produce from the garden. Here, Mom, here's some turnips and carrots and potatoes. This first one, like, we grow amazing potatoes. We probably last year, and you see on the right, that's the potato patch. We've been moving it back and forth from one side of the garden to the other, but it's not really the correct way to grow potatoes. The correct way is you should not have potatoes in the same spot till every 4th year. So this year we're going to rototill or plow or do something with a really another big garden patch that we can put half in potatoes, half in a green manure crop, and then move that into the rotation. So we do have the 4-year rotation, because last year a few of our potatoes had blight, and we're not seeing it in the root cellar, but it's a warning sign. And the blight is easy to spot in potatoes because it will have a little small black depression on the outside of the potato, but inside the potato will just be turning into snot, basically.
Like a big hole.
Yeah, it's a horrible disease, and it will affect all your potatoes in storage if you don't nip it in the bud. This middle picture, sometimes I wish we weeded a little better, but then weeds have their spot in the garden too, because in nature, the pests are attracted to certain plants. And if you take all of those plants out of your garden and just have such a clean, shining, perfect garden, then those pests are going to attack your perfect garden instead of the weeds that they're used to snacking on. So even though there's weeds in our picture, we're still happy with our crops. This is some of the produce from, I think it's last year, but it could be earlier. Every crop we have just seems to grow amazingly well now that our soil is so rich. These cabbages in the wheelbarrow, those flat ones are called gunma cabbages, and they're really cool because you can just slice off the sides and use the cabbage leaf as a wrap. if people don't want to have flour in their diet. And then if you want to make cabbage rolls and stuff, they have no thick stem on them, on the leaf, so you can just roll them up so nice and easily. The zucchinis, we've resorted to actually checking to see if people's cars are locked. And if they're not, they get zucchinis in their backseat. Because there's a limit to how much zucchinis a person can have, or a community even can have. And as you can see, those ones, they just got so darn big. They store, they store really, really well. We have still zucchinis on the shelf from last season that we're taking the seeds out of to plant this year's zucchinis. And then the top right picture, those are the small onions, but the cucumbers were our nice surprise. We had so many cucumbers last year. They just grew amazingly well. And so did all those things. The ones on the right are the garlic. We grow garlic every year, and the demand for garlic in the community has just grown like crazy. So we started off by planting 5 pounds, and this year we've planted 20 pounds, and I still don't think it will be enough. The pretty peppers in the middle are Hungarian hot wax. There isn't a real big demand for them, so we still have jars full of them from last year. So I don't think we'll plant too many of them this year. The tomatoes have to be, in our area, have to be grown. Tomatoes, peppers, some herbs like basil and stuff have to be grown indoors if we want to get production in our area. The Saskatoons on the left-hand side, we planted in the garden in rows. They're called Thompson Saskatoons, and we got them from Okotoks, Alberta, from a place called the Saskatoon Farm. The top right, probably everybody knows, that's huckleberries. And last year, as part of our foraging, we took members of the community out to the huckleberry patch 2 days, and we picked so many huckleberries. We're so happy about that. And we have a big strawberry patch in the garden that's nicer than wild ones. These are the crop extensions that we did. This is the first year when we had heat in the greenhouse. And these are the bottom left is the plugs when they were going in. And then the lettuce grew amazingly well. The onions in these pictures are the Egyptian walking onions. They're the ones that grow the little onion bulbs on top of the onion green. And so in the fall time, we take those little bulbils off and plant them in the greenhouse, and that's how lovely they grow. The right-hand one is bok choy, and it got amazingly big. Oh, there on that picture, you can see we've got the hydrant in the corner of the greenhouse and the timer on it, so that we can water the greenhouse without having to touch the water.
And even that goes by daylight savings time, so you gotta change it. I'm serious.
This is part of the shelving in here is where we hang our lights and start all the plants in this. And the cooler is just, this is a fall time picture because the cooler's full of stuff for handing out. This cooler, we kept our cabbage in this cooler all winter long this time, and we are still, it looks disgusting because the outsides of the leaves kind of are like all shriveled up and there's like little mold spots growing on them. But 5 peels down, it's still a perfect cabbage. It's flipping amazing. And this is the garlic. This is about half of the garlic from last fall's harvest. And we have just a tiny little basket left now. So we're wishing we had more, but soon enough. This is the top right picture, is a picture inside the cellar last fall. Those tubs are full of turnips and beets and carrots. and you can't quite see in the back, but there's almost 2 tons of potatoes stored in the back of that root cellar. And the carrots, we put them in this wagon. It's got screen in the bottom, and we just hose them down and hose them and stir them and hose them. Then we tuck them in the back room. That's the room with the cooler, and let them dry. Then we bag them in 10-pound bags and put them in the root cellar in one of those tubs. And we're pulling them out right now, and they're just absolutely perfect still. See how big those garlics are? We're just so happy with them. We kind of have the seasons mixed up here, but that's okay. The first one on the bottom left is us cutting the seed potatoes in preparation for planting, and Carrier Sakani Family Services people are there helping. I know that because I recognize the girl. The tomatoes, we put the jar beside just so we could see how lovely big those tomatoes are. We made tomato sauce, canned tomatoes, salsa. We made so much stuff out of them.
So much.
And the beans, we were just so happy with those beans there. We pickled them. We made jars and jars. We probably made three cases of pickled beans, and we have 7 jars left. I just counted them this morning.
And on top of that, people like to get it around Christmas time because they put it in their Caesars. They said it's the best.
That's important.
That's really important to those ones, yeah.
And this final picture, this is our salmon pavilion. Is that what this one's called? It's where we can go to put our harvest, even if it's raining or horrible. We go under there. We bring a barbecue over. We have community events in there, and that will be one of the places where the Indigenous market is held. So we have a roof over everybody's stuff. And that is our presentation. You got anything to add?
So if any of you want to be part of our market, please just let us know and we'll put your names down, because I think it's going to be fabulous. A lot of tourists go through here. So I just think it'll be wonderful if we could all get together and do something like that too. Thank you, everybody. And I really want to thank the sponsors that have helped us. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are today. And I'm very grateful, and I know my community is, and I know my elders are very grateful for it, because they're getting fresh vegetables year round. So thank you to you sponsors. You guys do an amazing job to help communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this amazing pictures. Yeah, to both all the presenters, thank you for sharing your journeys. Over the years, I've heard so much about the pit cook in Amanda's community, and yeah, I was lucky enough, like way back when, to be in Stellat'en and have food, like lunch catered by you guys with all produce from the community. So that was still very special in my memory. So thank you all. I want to open the floor now for some questions for Janet, Cynthia, Mandy. So if you have any questions, you can just unmute yourself and ask it, or put it in the chat, and we can read it out. So the floor is now open. I see Matthew has his hand up. So Matthew, why don't you go ahead? And I think we also have some questions in the chat, so we can get to some of them after. Matthew.
Hi, Jeanette. It's nice to see you
Matthew.
again. So it's been, yeah, it was an amazing presentation. You know, I loved it. I was glad that I see you doing really good. You know, it's pretty amazing. Some of your produce looks absolutely healthy, and some of the best produce I've ever seen. And the program that you guys have is you know, it's amazing engaging the students and planting and sending food home, as well as the storage and the whole vision. You know, I really love it, and I think I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. And I love the pit cooking too in the first presentation, and yeah, it's amazing.
I think you all need to come to Stellat'en, and when our harvest is done, we'll cook for you guys outside in our pavilion. We'll bring you to the smokehouse, and that's how you guys will eat.
Oh, amazing. Then we'll bring some stuff from the
If you want to
Stellat'en.
see what we did
It'll look
today,
like this.
something like that.
Oh, wow. And we'll bring some stuff from the Stellat'en territory, and we'll do some trading.
Cool.
You're more than welcome to do trading.
Excellent. Fantastic. It's nice to see you, Janet.
Thanks, Matthew. I see Melissa's hand is up. I just want to ask a couple of quick questions from the chat. One question is, I think to Janet and you guys, how big the field is that you're using.
That is just over 1 acre inside that field.
Who's
And-
our Pete?
And how do you do pest control for potatoes and root vegetables?
We don't really do pest control. What we do is we try to, like, we haven't had any terrible thing except the 1 year. Remember when we
Yes.
had those maggots that were biting off the brassicas the minute we planted them? So what we did that year to finally get brassicas was we covered it with the garden blanket. The minute we planted it and covered it with the garden blanket, took it off 6 weeks later, weeded it, and then just left it open. And by then they were too big for the pests to actually kill them. There's a question in the chats for Cynthia.
And it's from RT from Fraser Lake. She used to be the dietitian. She says, Cynthia, I remember when you shared your vision maybe 8 years ago.
Okay, it's not really a question, it's a comment.
It's
Okay.
Yeah,
We got that.
thank you. Now I know who you are. I see your face.
And
Okay.
Melissa has a hand up. Maybe we go to Melissa first and then see some more questions on the chat.
Masicho, hi Auntie, it's Melissa. Good to see you. I come from up north, but I work with Malahat Nation now, and we've had our community garden for a few years now, and we have one full-time gardener, which is great, but having a bit of challenge sort of getting community volunteers or getting communities sort of participating in the garden. Can either of you talk about getting community engaged and working in the garden?
One thing that Cynthia's done here is made the staff come out and help us. And that was really great. And then they got their families to come with them. And we had the school here. I don't know if all schools are like this, but the school here is more than happy to bring a school bus of students out anytime you want help. And the students get, like, the teacher comes with them and kind of looks after them, but they are amazing, and kids love the garden so much. And then once the kids are here and raving about it, pretty soon their parents come too. There's sometimes if you have a men's group, the men's group will come and do the heavy stuff, which is also a help. Got any other suggestions?
With the kids, what we do is we always have a barbecue for them outside and thanking them and stuff like that. But even your Head Start program, target the kids, like saying, this year you're going to start your own pumpkin. That's how we did it. And then they'll come. And then more will come. You just gotta play with it. The kids are the ones that are gonna do it for us. If we don't have those kids involved, they'll never learn. So maybe with the Head Start and say, we're gonna plant some pumpkin seeds. Let them put their names on those pumpkin seeds, but they're responsible to look after that pumpkin for October. Little things like that make it their job. And then families will come.
So something that we,
Melissa is my niece, everybody. I'm married to Melissa's dad's brother. So that's how I know Melissa there.
She's the best. I have the best auntie.
so
Thank
something that
you.
we've done here for trying to get community in, because that was something that we noticed when we got staff hired, we saw a drop in community involvement, especially since COVID. So something that we have been doing is in every grant I write, I have been writing a budget for honoraria. So we offer a $20 an hour honoraria to people to come out and they help with the foraging, they help with gardening, small garden tasks. We have now paired with our Auntie's Kitchen crew, which is our harm reduction initiative. And so they're also coming out to the garden, and when they bring community, we are offering honorary for that as well. Last year we had probably 3 or 4 on the land type foraging. We went for berries that we brought back that were served at our pit cook. We did traditional teas with them. Some of them were like a 2 or 3 day event where everybody got paid for the hours that they were able to help us with. So I found that has actually started to bring people in our community back out. And as sorry, as we are bringing those people back in, there is a bit more interest. Something that I have heard a lot is it's very healing to be in the garden, and those that have come with the Auntie's Kitchen program have consistently said that they feel better when they are working the garden. Also we did 2 or 3 separate initiatives with the youth, where again we paid honoraria for them to come out during the summer to do like some of the weeding, some of the watering, and a couple of our foraging expeditions. So that's how we're getting some of those, the younger generation, to come and start being in the garden again with that youth work.
Awesome, thank you. Couple of more questions in the chat about up north, Stellat'en, how you're irrigating during drought season and what do you use to heat the greenhouse?
For irrigation, we've got 4 hydrants in the garden area, and we put sprinklers in the garden on timers. So we can leave the hydrant open, put a timer down, and put the hoses coming out of the timer. You can get timers with 2 outlets or with 4 outlets, or just 1 if you have a small garden. And we have a really good water supply here, so we don't need to worry about the shortage of water. So we put last year was pretty good for rain, but there was one period there where we actually, I think it was August, that we watered pretty well every day. And then in the greenhouse, that small greenhouse, we have an electric heater and a fan to blow it around. But in the large greenhouse, there's a big ass gas heater on each end of the building. And then we practiced in the little greenhouse about winter growing. We lined the walls with styrofoam. We left a ground heater and the roof heater on, and things pretty well any root crops lived and onions lived, but pretty well everything else winter killed. And I think the reason is when I put my hand in the soil, it was so cold. And so this big greenhouse is supposed to be a 12-month greenhouse, but it gets really cold here. And I was very skeptical that we could grow even hardy crops in it with the soil being so cold. So we asked BW Global and a few other greenhouse growers here how we could mitigate for that. And what the suggestion was to put a heated floor in that big greenhouse. And so we're just figuring out what it costs right now. And I was very skeptical years ago about putting grow boxes on top of cement. But in Old Town, that's what they did. They built their garden and greenhouse right on top of an old hockey rink with cement in the bottom, and it is fantastic. So we're just going to make deeper boxes and have a heated floor underneath in order, and we'll keep you posted.
Thank you. And there's a question on how many staff you have and if people can come visit and tour for inspirational purposes.
We have, last year we had 2 full-time garden staff. This year we have, my position here changed from the gardener to food sovereignty manager. And so we hired 2 cooks to cook in the kitchen to feed the elders every day. And then we are getting another, it's me, Evan is my full-time assistant, and then we can get a full-time gardener and a part-time gardener this year. We are trying to have this model where we can make it cost effective by serving the elder meals and being recompensed for that, and doing catering. So we pay our cooks, but the catering money comes to the health center in order to pay the staff. So it's been a real challenge to try and get it so that we are not dependent on grants in order to carry on. We want to be able to have this self-sufficient.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see. One question is if I see Amanda has already done it, but if the contacts can be left in the chat in case people have questions and would like to get in contact with you. So I'm not sure if Janet, if you're willing to share your information in the chat, there's a request for that. And
we are always willing to share with any community, and we are always proud to take a tour of the garden and the greenhouse. So anybody who comes is very, very welcome.
Thank you for that, Janet. There's also some more questions on funding to start a family community garden. I know both Amanda and you touched on funding. I also want to be mindful of the time, so maybe I know you mentioned some funders already, and maybe any last thoughts on that, or maybe that can be something that can also be discussed or shared via email follow-up. But anything in addition that you want to mention about funding, Mandy or Janet, in addition to what was already mentioned, maybe?
Obviously, we are funded through SPARC, as well as Island Health and United Way. We have also seen some grants through FNHA for some of our activities. Last year, we did apply for a large grant through the Vancouver Foundation, as well as there are other small grants. New Relationship Trust has a food sovereignty grant, as well as there's one that comes out in the fall. And now I can't remember what it is. Oh, there's a TELUS one that you can apply for as well, that we've applied for in the past.
There's a new one through the Walmart Foundation. We've been funded for 6 years by the Victoria Food Foundation, and it was really nice because that grant had discretionary spending in it, and that is so important to us, because if we need, say the wind blows the plastic off the greenhouse, then we can just run out and buy another greenhouse cover and not have to wonder where where that's coming from. So, and we got a large grant. We just applied for one through I believe it's rural, remote, and Indigenous funding. Don't quote me on that.
Thank you. Thank you again, Janet and Mandy, for making the time and sharing your journeys with us. It's very much appreciated. And also thank you to all of you for making the time to be here with us today. I want to be mindful of the time because we're almost at 1 o'clock now, and I know everybody has been taking their lunch. This is the final webinar of the series, and we appreciate your participation, obviously, and we're also grateful to Tea Creek and the Youth Warriors Family Society and today's presenters, of course, for sharing their vision and successes and knowledge with all of us. Thank you for that, and I'm not sure if Geraldine is still here to close, or if somebody else might want to do a
I
close.
could go and get her if you would like me to.
Sure, if it's not trouble. I don't
Okay,
want
just hang on a sec. Here, come over here so you're not in the dark. Sit over here. I think I got you. Yeah, you're on. They always knows. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Creator. We thank you for this gathering. We thank you that we could come together and share knowledge and wisdom. We ask you that you're going to bless each and every community, all the staff, all the leadership. I ask that you're going to make a way for everyone to be able to communicate more often and to keep all the knowledge and the wisdom that they have gathered today within themselves so they could better their communities. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much for closing this gathering in a good way. Last question, there was Janet, are you okay with sharing your contact information in the chat? People were asking. Sorry, I missed that.
Okay, I'll put my contact information in the chat. Okay, I think that's right.
I'm not sure if I see it. But we can also share it. I think Bianca put the food at isparc.ca in there. So if there's any follow-up questions, I'm sure we can answer them. Again, thank you all so much for being here and taking the time. And we'll see you when we'll see you. Thank you.
Thank you.